If you're a small business owner, you'll know just what it's like to be the chief everything officer. HR, payroll, employee benefits. Well, Gusto can do all of that for you. Gusto is online payroll and benefits software built for small businesses. It's all in one, remote friendly, and incredibly easy to use. It's quick and simple to switch to Gusto. Just transfer your existing data to get up and running fast. Try Gusto today at gusto.com/lockedonsoccer and get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's gusto.com/lockedonsoccer.
The world's biggest soccer tournament has arrived, and you can trade the entire tournament on Kalshi. On Kalshi, you can trade every match from the opening stage all the way to the final. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code CUP26 to get $10 when you trade 10. KALSHI, Kalshi. Trade the beautiful game. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory.
Last year, I made an episode about one of the most famous football stadiums on the planet, Estadio Azteca in Mexico. It is one of the stadiums being used at the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and it has already been home to some of the greatest football moments ever. Because we are talking about a place where legends like Pelé and Diego Maradona have played. A stadium which is packed with history, with noise, colour, magic and memories. So, with the World Cup now in full flow and the Azteca once again playing a huge part in yet another massive tournament, I thought it would be the perfect time to re-release it and give you the chance to listen to it. Some of you may have never heard this episode before. Some of you might not have listened to it for a very, very long time. So here it is, the story of the Azteca and the brilliant players who have graced that famous pitch. Originally recorded in the summer of 2025. To the Football for Kids podcast with me, Darren Rees, and welcome to another episode on a stadium. This time we're off to sunny Mexico City and to one of the, if not the, most impressive and historic and iconic football stadiums there is on the planet. And of course, one of the biggest football stadiums in the whole wide world. We're off to the Azteca Stadium in Mexico. The place where two of the most famous goals ever were scored, and a place where both Maradona and Pelé have graced the pitch. Before we get into this episode on the historic and iconic Azteca Stadium in Mexico City, let's do one of your shout-outs. This one has come in from Spotify comments, and it says, "Hi Darren, my name is Felix and I love your podcast. I'm the captain for my under-12s and under-13s football team, and they are Boomers FC in Australia. I'd love for you to do a podcast on Thierry Henry or on Martin Odegaard. I give the podcast 10,000 stars. Well, Felix, in Australia, the captain of the under-12s, under-13s football team for Boomers FC, a massive shout out to you, to everybody in your football team, and of course to your coaches, who I'm sure do a wonderful job and give up their time in the process. Firstly, I've already got an episode on Thierry Henry, so have a search through the 450 plus episodes and you'll find it in there somewhere. I'm sure it's a double-parter actually. And Martin Odegaard, I don't think I've done an episode on him yet. I might be wrong, but have a look. If not, I will get that onto the list. Right, that's all we've got time for in this episode for shout-outs and messages. It's time to get into this episode on the Azteca, the iconic and historic and mightily impressive stadium in Mexico City. Now, this place isn't just a big lump of concrete and seats. It's actually the story of Mexico wanting to show the world how much they loved football. Back in the 1960s, a man called Guillermo had a dream. He wanted Mexico to host the best World Cup tournament ever. So, two clever architects, one called Pedro and one called Rafael. Well, they set off on a mission and they travelled all around Europe. They checked out stadiums in Spain, England, France and Italy, and then they said, we're going to make something even better. The building work for the Azteca, the stadium they were going to make even better than everything they'd seen and experienced, started in either 1961 or 1962, depending on which history book you're looking at. It was massive. Workers had to blast away 180 million kilos of rock just to make the ground flat enough. But it wasn't all happy building, let me tell you. Over 3,000 people lost their homes because the stadium was being built. There was protest and there was lots of people who were very, very unhappy. When the stadium finally opened on the 29th of May 1966, the crowd were ready to party. Over 100,000 people were in the stadium, ready to get the first match underway. They were just waiting for the president to get there so they could really get going. However, of course, he was late. They were furious. When he eventually arrived, over an hour later, 100,000 people whistled and booed and clapped in the most aggressive manner you could possibly imagine. They were furious. They were excited. They wanted to get the party going in this multi-million-pound stadium. In fact, the stadium was meant to cost 95 million pesos, which works out to be about 3.5 million quid back then, but it actually cost more. In fact, it ended up costing 200 million pesos, or 7-ish million pounds. To help pay for it, one of the TV companies came up with this clever idea. They sold special luxury boxes to rich fans, and those boxes could be owned for up to 99 years, almost a whole century. When the Azteca first opened, it could fit 107,494 people in it. I know, it's precise, but you know me, I like to get things precise and accurate. But that number was often beaten. In 1968, a football game packed in 119,853 fans, and the all-time record was in 1993 for a boxing match. It was an incredible 132,247 people, plus the 2 fighters and the referee in the ring. Imagine that. Imagine the noise. This multi-purpose stadium was off the charts. Today, the capacity is much smaller, around 87,000, because modern stadiums focus on comfort, safety, and fancy boxes instead. Now, let me tell you, this stadium is one of a kind. It's the only stadium in the world to have hosted 2 World Cup finals. And let me tell you this, it's the only place that has seen both Pelé in 1970 and Diego Maradona in 1986 lift the World Cup trophy. 2 of the greatest players ever on the same pitch with that same World Cup glory in that same stadium. In 1970, Brazil, who were often called the beautiful team, smashed Italy 4-1. Pelé scored, set up teammates, and then lifted that famous Jules Rimet trophy. It was the last time that he would do so in his career. It was the perfect ending to his World Cup story, and it happened in that very stadium. Fast forward to 1986, 16 years later, Argentina beat West Germany 3-2 in another epic final. And this time, it was Maradona's turn to raise the modern World Cup trophy high above his head. But wait, the most famous thing about that tournament actually happened a week earlier, in the quarterfinals in a game between Argentina and England. And oh boy, what a game it turned out to be. First came the goal we'll never forget, the hand of God. Maradona went up against the England goalkeeper Peter Shilton, and instead of heading the ball, he cheekily punched it into the net with his hand. The referee didn't see it, and he awarded the goal. England players went absolutely bonkers, but it was too late. Maradona later joked that it was scored with a little of the head of Maradona and a little with the hand of God. Hence why it's called the hand of God. Then, just minutes later, come the goal of the century. Maradona picked up the ball, sprinted 60 metres or more, dribbled past 4 England defenders and slotted it home. So from cheating to pure genius in a matter of minutes. That was Diego Maradona in a nutshell. And, of course, it happened in the Azteca. It doesn't stop there though. In that same 1986 World Cup, the stadium hosted the semi-final between Italy and West Germany. and that's been known for years as the game of the century. That match went to extra time, and it had 5 goals scored just in extra time. Italy finally won the game 4-3, but the image everyone remembers is the German legend Franz Beckenbauer playing with a dislocated shoulder. His arm was strapped up because Germany had no more substitutes left, so, well, he just got on with it. So, from Pele to Maradona, to the hand of God, to the goal of century, and even record-breaking boxing fights, the Estadio Azteca isn't just a stadium, it's a colossus of sport, where legends are made and history is quite frankly written. So if you ever get the opportunity to go to the Azteca, here is what to expect. First of all, be ready for a wall of noise, and very, very high noise. The fans sing, they chant and they bang drums, and sometimes whole sections move together doing the Mexican wave. There are flags waving high in the air, trumpets blasting, and the colours of yellow, blue and red from Club America and the bright blue of Cruz Azul. It feels less like a football match and more like a giant street party or carnival. And the people who have experienced it have said it is an experience of a lifetime. And then there's the food, and this is where it gets properly Mexican. Forget your boring hot dogs and burgers. At the Azteca you can smell lime, chili and hot sauce drifting through the stands. And the most famous snack is something called a tartar, a big stuffed sandwich packed with meat, cheese and sometimes avocado, dripping with flavour. And of course, you can sip on an ice cold drink or two. Close your eyes and you can almost imagine it. The smell of chili and lime, the sounds of the drums and the trumpets, the sea of colours swirling, and the roar of 80,000 plus fans celebrating together. That, my friends, is the Azteca. It's not just a football stadium, but an adventure for every single one of your senses. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and hey, one day you might get to go and experience it all for yourself. And remember, if you know someone who loves football just as much as you do, then please tell them about the Football for Kids podcast. And whether you're playing football soon, watching it on the telly, or pitch side, I hope that you enjoy the game. See you next time.